I never expected things to turn out like this. My dad owns a family business. My brother and I both work there, have for a while now. It's kind of what we've always done. I put in my hours, did the heavy lifting, handled the physical side of things, and honestly, I've always been good at it. Reliable, solid. But recently, things changed. My dad made it clear that when he steps away, the business is going to my older brother, completely. No shared ownership, no discussions, no gray area, just his business now. His reasoning: my brother is the oldest, he's been in the business longer, he's got the business degree, he knows more about the numbers, the management side, the behind-the-scenes stuff. Meanwhile, I'm just the hands, the worker, not the decision-maker. He even brought up how I used to be impulsive when I was younger, as if that's still who I am today. He said he didn't think it'd be a good idea for me to be in charge of anything. And honestly, a part of me agrees. I probably wouldn't be the best person to run everything, but that's not what I was asking for. I wasn't asking for half the company. I wasn't asking to be CEO. All I wanted was a stake, something, a seat at the table, a say in the future of something I've poured years into, but he said no. Instead, he said I'd get some money after he dies. That hit me hard. I kept working, trying to stay neutral, trying to hide how bitter I was becoming, but deep down, I was already done. So I gave my 2 weeks' notice, quietly, no drama, no big statements, just a calm goodbye. I've been keeping it professional ever since. This week is my last, and then something unexpected happened. One of our biggest clients, Jard, was asking me if I could take care of another project next week. I told him I wouldn't be here, that this was my last week. He looked surprised. We've worked together a lot. We're friendly. We've even hung out a few times outside of work. So naturally, he asked why I was leaving. I just said it was for personal reasons, that I didn't really know where I'd go next. Truth is, there aren't a lot of businesses in our field, and not many places looking for people with my exact skills. He didn't say much after that. But then today, Jard's boss shows up. He pulls me aside and asks if I'd consider working for their company. He said he's been thinking about moving all this work in-house for a while now, but couldn't find anyone qualified enough to handle it, until now. Apparently, they've always requested me specifically for projects because they were that happy with my work. And then he made an offer I never saw coming. A 3-year contract, a full salary, way more than I'd ever have made at my dad's business, full benefits, an actual office. I mean, I don't even know what I'd do with an office, but it sounds pretty cool. On top of that, I'd get to choose the equipment. I'd even get to hire 2 employees to work under me. It's an incredible deal, a dream opportunity, honestly, something I never would have imagined coming out of what felt like a dead end. But now I'm torn. Because if I take this job, and let's be honest, I probably will, it's going to hit my dad's business hard. Losing this client won't just sting, it'll hurt, a lot. And no, I didn't ask for this. I didn't go looking to steal a client. I didn't plan any of this. They came to me. They made the offer. I didn't twist anyone's arm. For a brief moment, I thought, maybe I could use this as leverage. Maybe this would finally make my dad see that I deserved more, that I should have had a stake in the business from the start. But honestly, that was just a fleeting thought, because deep down, I don't want to work with them anymore. I don't want to force my way into a place where I was never really wanted. I know some people are going to say, you should have negotiated, you should have made a power move. But no, I don't want my place in that business out of guilt or pressure. I want it where I'm respected, where I'm chosen because of what I bring to the table, not just because I'm someone's son. So yeah, this might not have been the plan, but maybe it was exactly what I needed. Update. It's been a little while since everything went down, and things have finally started to settle. After sharing my story, a lot of people reached out. Most of you told me I was right to take the job offer, that I deserved better than being sidelined in my own family business. But a few people also said something that stuck with me. They said I should at least give my dad and brother a heads up before officially accepting the new role, just so they weren't completely blindsided. And honestly, that felt fair, so I did. The very next day, I sat down with them and told them everything. Let's just say it didn't go well. My dad got angry, not just upset, angry. He said this was exactly the kind of thing that proved why I didn't deserve a stake in the business, that I was selfish, that I only thought about myself while he was trying to That I was selfish, that I only thought about myself while he was trying to keep over a dozen people employed, like I was just throwing all that away without a second thought. Then my brother chimed in, said I was betraying the family, that I was bitter about not getting something I didn't even earn, and now I was turning my back on everyone who'd given me a job in the first place. At that point, I'd had enough. I didn't want to argue. I didn't want to defend myself or explain things to people who were never going to see it from my side, so I just walked out early. I didn't even finish the rest of my notice. I called my new employer later that day and formally accepted the job. Funny enough, the equipment they ordered for me didn't arrive until a couple of weeks later, so I ended up getting paid to stay home and do nothing during the transition. And honestly, that break was exactly what I needed. No stress, no drama, just a bit of space to breathe. And when I finally started at the new place, everything just felt different, better. My new workspace is nothing like my dad's shop. It's open, clean, fully air-conditioned. No more fighting for a parking spot on the street. They actually have assigned parking. It's such a small thing, but I never realized how much those little things matter until I didn't have to deal with them anymore. Even the office they gave me, small as it is, feels like a win. I don't really need an office, but it's nice having a space that's just mine, a door I can close, a mini fridge I can stock. It sounds silly, but it makes a difference. More than anything, I feel respected here, valued, appreciated. And that's something I never really felt working with my dad. I haven't spoken to him or my brother since I left. I doubt I ever will, but I did hear a few things through the grapevine. Apparently, right after I told them about the job offer, they called my new boss, tried to talk him out of hiring me. Yeah, that happened. Luckily, my new boss didn't listen to them. He said he hired me because of my work ethic and performance, not my last name, and honestly, that felt good to hear. But it didn't stop there. A cousin of mine told me that things aren't going so well at my dad's business anymore. Word is, they've had to lay people off and are downsizing. Some of their smaller clients shut down during the pandemic, and losing their biggest one, permanently, didn't exactly help. It's sad, I won't lie. I never wanted the business to fail. I just wanted to be treated fairly, to be seen as more than just a pair of hands. And maybe that was too much to ask from them. A lot of you were right, it probably did permanently damage my relationship with my dad and brother, but I don't regret leaving. I don't regret taking a chance on myself, because for once, I put my own future first. So to everyone who encouraged me to take the leap, thank you. You were right. Story 2. The day my daughter was born was supposed to be the happiest moment of my life. Instead, it shattered everything. I had just given birth, exhausted, emotional, overwhelmed, when I noticed the look on my husband's face. Jim, 26 years old, my partner, my best friend, just stood there, staring at our newborn daughter. His expression hardened, cold, confused, angry. And then, without warning, he accused me of cheating. He looked at our daughter's skin tone and instantly jumped to conclusions. He said she couldn't be his, that I had betrayed him, that I had destroyed our marriage. Right there in the hospital room, with our newborn in my arms, he walked out. He left me. And then he told everyone. Both sides of our family, our friends. He blasted it all over social media. He painted me as a liar, a cheater, someone who had broken his heart and brought another man's child into our home. The calls started coming in, the messages, the insults. People I loved were calling me names I never imagined they'd say, vile things, cruel things, all based on a single assumption. And through all of it, my mother was the only one by my side. I kept telling everyone the truth. I hadn't cheated. I never cheated, but no one believed me, not even Jim. He didn't come back to pick me up from the hospital. He threw my things on the lawn, changed the locks on the house. I had to stay with my parents, holding my baby in my arms, wondering how everything in my life had collapsed overnight. It got worse. When my sister tried to get the baby's things from the house, Jim sent me photos, pictures of the nursery. Empty, everything gone, he'd thrown it all out. He destroyed my art studio too. Painting was my passion, my escape. He tore through everything I'd created and told me my work was garbage, that no one would ever want to buy it, that I wasn't worth anything. I was devastated. I tried to focus on my daughter, on bonding with her, but the pain was crushing. Weeks passed, still Jim refused to speak to me directly. He never once asked about our baby, not even once. Eventually, he agreed to take a paternity test. And guess what? He was 100% the father. No room for doubt, it was his child. The test was repeated just to be sure. Same result, he's the father. And suddenly, the narrative began to unravel. Around the same time, one of Jim's cousins decided to do an ancestry DNA test, and surprise, there was about 30% African ancestry in the family. Then came the real shock. Jim's paternal great-grandmother finally admitted something no one had ever known. She had an affair around the time Jim's grandfather was born. Her husband, Jim's great-grandfather, wasn't the biological father, but because the baby could pass, no one ever questioned it. Until now. So everything made sense. Our daughter's appearance wasn't the result of cheating. It was genetics, plain and simple, a history no one knew about finally resurfacing. And now everyone's apologizing. Jim, his family, friends, people who had called me horrible things are suddenly saying I'm sorry. And while, yes, it feels good to be vindicated, the damage has already been done. You can't unhear the names they called me. You can't unsee the way they treated me or how they treated my daughter. The cruel messages, the destroyed nursery, the studio he wrecked, all of it is still real, still raw. And then there's the part that haunts me most. Jim said things, racist things, things I never imagined would come out of his mouth, things he said so casually, so easily. And now I'm left asking myself, what happens the next time he gets angry? What will he say to our daughter when she grows up? What happens when she does something that upsets him? How will he treat her then? Jim's been begging for forgiveness, reaching out constantly. He asked to see our daughter and I said yes, because she deserves to know her father, but I couldn't bring myself to actually hand her to him. I was too afraid. He's trying to fix the nursery again, keeps asking me what I want for the room, but every time he brings it up I cry, because we already had what I wanted, we already had our dream nursery, and some things can't be replaced. He asked me if I still love him. I told him the truth. He showed me the worst parts of himself, and I don't know if I can live with that image. I didn't mean to hurt him, but I meant what I said. Now my sister is suggesting couples therapy. She says maybe we could work through it, but I don't know. I don't feel like I should have to fix something I didn't break. I never lied, I never cheated. I've been innocent this entire time. So now I'm wondering, am I wrong for not giving Jim a second chance? It's been a little while since I shared my story, and honestly, I wasn't expecting the kind of response it got. I stepped away for just a few hours, and when I came back, I was overwhelmed by the support. So many people reached out, kind words, encouragement, private messages from strangers who simply wanted to say, "You're not alone." And to those of you who were there just to listen and offer support, thank you, truly. Of course, not everyone believed me. Some people said it sounded fake, and I get it, I really do. This whole situation has felt surreal even to me. All I can say is believe what you want. I know what I lived through. I know what I'm still carrying. But there were a few things people asked that I realized I should probably clarify. All of this started in late February. I had already moved in with my parents before the pandemic hit, and one of the reasons Jim refused to pick me up from the hospital was because I wouldn't admit to cheating. He wanted a confession, something to confirm his version of events, but there was nothing to confess. Nothing ever happened, and the fact that I couldn't give him what he wanted only made him angrier. As for the nursery, it wasn't destroyed with a sledgehammer or anything, at least not from what I saw in the pictures, but everything was gone, taken down, either returned for money or just given away. Still, it felt cruel. It may not have been violent, but it was deeply, deeply hurtful. And then there were the posts. Online, Jim announced that I pushed out a dark-skinned baby and said he was divorcing me. His family followed his lead, starting with racially charged comments, and eventually, he joined in too. He never spoke to me directly, not once, but he used my family as his mouthpiece, passing messages through them instead of talking to me like an actual human being. And while he never wrote down the worst of what he said, I haven't forgotten the words that did come through. He said our daughter would grow up to be a welfare princess, that I'd just be another baby mama, like I was some statistic, like my daughter was a burden, not a blessing. Those words, I can't forget them. I don't think I ever will. And just for clarity, Jim is white, and I'm at least half white. One of my parents is adopted, so we don't know our full ancestry. But after everything that happened, they've decided to take a DNA test too. We're still waiting on the results. At this point, I'm just trying to piece together what I can. I'm trying to understand where everything went so wrong, how the man I trusted so deeply could flip so quickly, so cruelly. And more than anything, I'm trying to protect my daughter from ever feeling the weight of that ugliness. Because regardless of what anyone says, she is beautiful, she is loved, and she deserves so much better than what she was brought into. Thank you again to everyone who reached out a couple of months ago. The messages, the support, the comments, they meant so much more than I can even express. I've needed time to process everything, time to heal, and time to get to a place where I could talk about all of it again. But now I think I'm ready, so here it goes. After everything that happened, my parent, the one who was adopted, decided to take an ancestry test too. And well, it turns out Jim wasn't the only one with African ancestry in the family. My parent had over 45% African ancestry, which means I carry at least 20% myself. That explained a lot, but it didn't undo the damage. As of now, I'm legally separated from my husband. I have primary custody of our daughter, and I'm still living with my parents. Honestly, I prefer it that way. Jim keeps apologizing, keeps trying to fix things. He even offered to move out of the house entirely if I wanted to come back and raise our daughter there. But I don't want to. I like being with my parents. I like having that support system, especially now. My dad's retired, so he watches the baby during the day while my mom and I work remotely. It's quiet, it's peaceful, and it feels safe. I still visit the house occasionally so Jim can see his daughter. And yes, we've started couples counseling, mostly over video calls. And that's where another truth came out. During one of the sessions, Jim admitted something I wasn't ready for, something some of you actually guessed in the comments. He cheated on me. It happened while we were still dating, before he proposed. He said it was with an ex-girlfriend, someone who had cheated on him in the past. He claimed it was just a moment of weakness, an ego boost, something to help him feel in control again. He never planned on telling me. He said he felt guilty, but was too scared I'd walk away if I ever found out. And suddenly, everything made sense. The way he lashed out at me, the accusations, the overreaction, it wasn't just about our daughter's appearance, it was projection. He was punishing me for the guilt he was carrying. He saw me through the lens of his own mistakes. He also admitted that he was terrified when I got pregnant. Our daughter wasn't planned. He said he pretended to be excited, but inside he was scared, anxious, not ready to be a father. So when she was born, it was like he saw an out, a way to escape without looking like the bad guy. He clung to the lie that she wasn't his, just so he could run. And now that he's seen her, held her, bonded with her, he regrets everything. He says he'd give anything to take it all back. He wants his family back, says he's willing to spend the rest of his life making it right. But here's the thing, I don't trust him anymore. I've cried more than I ever thought possible, because now I'm not just grieving what happened, I'm grieving who I thought he was. I'm grieving the version of our relationship that never truly existed. And then came the holidays. Jim's parents wanted to see their grandchild. I said no, I wasn't ready. I didn't want them around her, not after everything they said and did. They called me selfish, said I was punishing them by keeping her away. I reminded them of their words, the way they talked about me, about my daughter, about our family. They brushed it off, said they'd already apologized, said I needed to move on, that I couldn't stay angry forever. But the truth is, I'm not just angry. I'm ashamed that I ever loved these people, ashamed that I brought my child into a family that could be so cruel, so judgmental, so casually racist. And I keep asking myself, why didn't I see it sooner? Why did it take all this for the mask to come off? I've made my decision. After my daughter's first birthday, I'm contacting a lawyer. I'll be filing for divorce, not because I'm bitter or vengeful, but because I'm choosing peace. I'm choosing safety. I'm choosing to raise my daughter in a home that is filled with love, not anger, not guilt, not silence, and not fear. This isn't the life I imagined, but it's the life I'm building now. And for the first time in a long time, I know I'm doing the right thing.